Hey guys, Sarah Gaston here. Listen, today I want to talk to you about a really common mistake I see a lot of newer actors make that is easy to avoid but can blow your audition. What is it? Well, it's not really reading the script. Now, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, I get the script, I read it, I highlight my lines, I learn my lines, and I say my lines. That's one very tiny piece of the puzzle. Take, for example, these audition sides. So I don't know how well you can see this, but basically this character has one line and one short speech. So it's really easy to look at this and say, oh, she has a few lines. Okay, I got this. And you look over it for about 10 minutes and you think you've got it. Her lines are actually, where is your servant? And my husband, Mr. Grinder, is away for the night. Just me and the little ones. I do have a room with supper. Your servant can have the barn. That's all that she says. So somebody could memorize those lines and somebody could exchange those lines with the reader and think that their job is done. Here is all the Easter eggs that we are missing. I call them Easter eggs because they are information and clues that are hiding in plain sight in the script, always, 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 that actors overlook as things that they can use to make their performance dynamite, even if it's only one line and one speech. For example, if you look at the very top, it says a woman, Mrs. Grinder, walks onto the porch. So this is 1881. So first of all, if you don't get that it's 1881, you may not realize the significance of a woman being alone on her porch in what is probably some sort of like vast prairie, and she's all alone out there. Her spouse is not there, who probably is the person who traditionally sort of guards the family, and here is a stranger strolling up and asking for a place to stay. Now, I don't know about you, but under the best circumstances, I might be wary of that. There was a certain protocol back in the day that if somebody came along and they needed a place to stay and some food, you would give them a place to stay and some food. But wouldn't you be a little bit wary of said stranger? So she's there home alone. She's got little children with her. And this guy should have a servant with him, right? So if he should have a servant with him, what does that mean? That means you're assuming that he's a gentleman, right? So if you're assuming that he's a gentleman, it's probably safe to have him stay at your place, right? But it's a little suspect that the servant is nowhere to be seen. So we're already starting to wonder, like, what's going on with this guy and should I trust this guy, right? So you might be sitting there saying, I do have a room with supper, your servant can have the barn. But what you might really be thinking is, I'm trying to do the right thing here, but I'm not sure you're on the up and up. She nods and heads back inside. So that's really interesting. Like, she doesn't invite him to come in. She basically extends the invitation and then turns around and leaves, right? So the fact that she nods and goes back inside also tells us something about her, right? So maybe she's a woman of few words. Maybe she's being polite and like doing the bare minimum, but she's not like, come on in, welcome, welcome, welcome. So that tells us something about how to play this character, right? She also, again, living on a prairie in 1881. We're assuming it's a prairie because a cowboy comes up, right? So, well, I shouldn't say that. Lewis rides his horse, right? We don't know that he's a cowboy, but he does come down a trail, okay? So anyway, we're assuming she's somewhere on the frontier, right? So how much education is she going to have, right? How refined would this character be? How articulate would she be? You know, would she be a chatty Cathy? Clearly, it doesn't seem like she's a chatty Cathy because she just nods and goes back inside. So this tells me, you know, if I'm looking at this script, that, okay, she's going to be wary, she's going to be watchful, she's going to have her eye on this guy, but she wants to do the right thing. She's got little children to think about. Her husband is not around, so she's going to be extra on her guard because she's going to need to protect the family should anything go amiss. And she's going to be pleasant, but not necessarily warm or overly gracious because it's not a social call. This is a stranger coming into her home. Anyway, all that exists, right? Even though we have one line and one speech, right? But it's your job as the actor to sort of tease out all those little extras, those details, those little nuances that are going to actually make it believable that you are this character in this situation versus, oh, look, there's another actor who understands how to memorize lines and say them when it's their turn. Boring, right? Okay, anyway, I hope this was helpful to you. I'm a big fan of going over everything in your script like a tiny Sherlock Holmes and squeezing out everything you can out of it. So I hope this was helpful to you. If it was, please like it, first of all. Please feel free to share it with your friends. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel because I put stuff up there all the time. And if you really want all the good stuff, subscribe to my email list. You can find it at www.sarahgaston.com. No H. And that's where I share stuff that I don't share anywhere else. So I thank you so much for your time, and as always, break a leg out there.